This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Time for some high school football talk. Nate Olson, Scorebook Live, and co-host of the High School Football Scoreboard Show. You'll be listening to that show later tonight when all the games have concluded. Nate, how are you today, and where are you going to be watching from?
I'm great. Right now, I'm sitting out on my back deck and doing this al fresco. It is nice outside. It's nice to finally not have hot weather. Going to be a little bit of a chill in the air tonight. And the football players love that. I don't know a guy that would rather play. I'm not sure Matt can attest to this. Much rather play in cool temperatures. You see those linemen out there with no sleeves on when it's cold. They'd much rather have that than the hot weather. And tonight I'll be at Joe T. Robinson watching them play Maumelle. So in Central Arkansas, it's a pretty big game, and we'll have people at P Ridge Alma or Alma P Ridge and Pine Bluff Mills. So some big games tonight. Looking forward to it, and the weather's cooling off, but the action's heating up. We get closer to the playoffs. Each week we're going to talk more about games that have playoff implications and how that's going to shake out. So it's going to get each week's going to get a little bit more intense.
All right, then for the River Valley, for Northwest Arkansas, what game would be top of list for you this weekend?
The one that and it was they played in the big game last week too, but I think a good one for the River Valley that includes both areas is Fayetteville at Southside. We've talked over recent weeks about how Southside's gotten better and better. Amari Tucker has run for almost 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. Tim Dameron, former Razorback and college head coach, has brought some consistency this year, continuity with his program, trying to get over the hump and get into that mid-range of the 7A West. They've been close in some games. Fayetteville, on the other hand, is they're rolling. They're undefeated. They won probably the game of the year last week against Rogers at home. Drake Lindsay passed for 6 touchdowns in the game for the second week in a row, and their offense is really going. Now they gave up over 40 points in the game. I think this could be a shootout again, but the problem with Southside is they're only completing about 50% of their passes. So they're really relying on Tucker and a couple other running backs to chew up that yardage. But I do think this will be a good game. And Southside would love nothing more than to nip somebody, one of these favorites, Fayetteville or Bentonville or Rogers. They've already lost to Rogers, but it was close. That gives them hope, I think, in this game because they've been competitive against Rogers. So a tough game for Fayetteville going down the hill, playing on the road after a very, intense game last week. So could be a little bit of a trap game, but we really like Fayetteville and Casey Dick. The offense is great. What we're really looking for is what's going to happen when they play a rugged defense. Bentonville will be next week. Southside could give them a little bit of a test in the playoffs. Somebody from the Central. That's what the bugaboo was last year. They were scoring lots of points, then ran into Conway in the playoffs. So again, putting up a lot of points, great offense, have an opportunistic defense. They forced a fumble late in that game to preserve the win. So they're doing some great things. And it's just a matter of is this team a state championship caliber team or not? So each week they're just trying to win football games and first win this 7A West again.
You got a big one with Alma and P Ridge in the 5A West. Alma 4-1, P Ridge 4-1. Shiloh Christian, is right there with them at 4-1. It's kind of a top-heavy 5A West, and two of those teams are playing each other tonight.
Yeah, I know the people in Alma that are listening are excited because that's a program that for many in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s is a big time tradition rich program, and they're playing good football. They're 2-0 in the 5A West for the first time since 18, and it's kind of funny because last week we were telling Matt about Jackson Daly, Adam's son, that was the fullback for the Hogs. Clark Moore is his uncle, both those guys Matt knows well, and from that area, from Alma and Van Buren, respectively. But Jackson, man, he ran for a school. He's a quarterback, but he ran for a school record 320 yards, 6 touchdowns, 156 passing yards. Alma set the school record for 650 total yards. They did it against Farmington, which is not a pushover. So a huge win against kind of a banged-up Farmington team. But now you're in position. You're undefeated, a chance to go 3-0, standing in the way is Pea Ridge. They lost last week against Dardanelle, but they jumped out to a 4-0 start under Bray Cook, the former Razorback offensive lineman. He feels good about this team, thinks it's a playoff team, and this would be a huge win for them tonight. I think, to keep pace there, I really think, they kind of need to win this one, and I think they can. But Daly, boy, he is playing well. I mean, even before last week, as we told Matt, he's had a good year, but last week he just went off, and so that offense is clicking. Will be real interesting tonight to see if Pea Ridge can slow him down playing at home, but that's one we've circled as one of the good games to watch, and has some good Razorback ties in this game, too.
What's Harrison's chance to maybe knock off Shiloh Christian?
I think there's a chance. They're kind of been a little up and down, Harrison has, but Shiloh comes in this game. Bo Williams jumps out. The first 2 games runs for 600 yards. A really good running back. He was all over our radar to start the year, but was even better than we thought with 400 yards against Little Rock Christian. He's got a nagging injury, so he's not playing. We don't know if he'll be playing tonight, but Griffin Mason is a sophomore filling in for him. He's done that admirably. They've also got Evan Baker, who's a linebacker by trade, playing quarterback because their good freshman has been hurt since the beginning of the year. So Baker, an upperclassman, filling in, and he's done pretty well. So, but I do think that this is a tough game because Harrison is very physical. They run the football. Braden Long has over 2,500 yards rushing in his career. He's already run for 774 this year and 12 touchdowns. So they're gonna really try to knock Shiloh around, control the ball, and make this game messy and dirty. And so try to make it physical. And Shiloh can play that way, but it would be a lot easier for them if Bo Williams is in the lineup. Asking a lot of Griffin Mason a lot to grind it out in a game like this, but I think it'll be a close game, especially if Williams doesn't play. Harrison certainly has a chance to win it, and being at home, it's tough to win at Crooked Creek over there. And so I think it'll be a good game, and especially if Williams isn't in the lineup. And hopefully for Shiloh fans, he does get healthy. But it's a nagging injury that's kind of slow healing. So we'll have to see if he's in there and what happens tonight.
Looking at 6A West, Little Rock Christian has just run roughshod in that league over 3 consecutive weeks. Mountain Home have a chance to slow them down tonight?
Mountain Home at home, they got waxed pretty good by Greenwood, but they have played pretty good at home this year. I think this is a bit of a trap game for Little Rock Christian, even though they're playing well and they're doing it without Ronnie Inoki, who is one of the better running backs in the state. He's lost for the season. He was injured right before the PA game, which is why I picked PA very adamantly and then was very wrong. Sometimes that happens just a few times a season. It happens, Phil. But I was very wrong on that game. But Mountain Home's got some special things cooking there. The Coach Airy. I think it's just a matter of time before they beat somebody they're not supposed to. And I'm not saying they're going to do it tonight, but a long drive for Little Rock Christian. I think they, probably feel like this game is going to be, heavily favored in or pretty favored. But Mountain Home can play. They've got Cade Yates, who's a good quarterback himself, and some good guys on defensive end. That's pretty good. So I think that they will be ready for this game. There's a lot of excitement around their program. They've had a couple close losses. They lost at Lake Hamilton, but they're trying to stay in the playoff contention. Would be a huge notch in the belt for them to win a game. But like I said, I feel like they are close to beating somebody they shouldn't. They've been competitive. They've been to the quarterfinals, each of the year that he's been there. They've won some big playoff games. who knows what will happen tonight, but being at home, you never know.
Speaking of teams that shouldn't lose, looking at Mansfield, they have outscored their opponents 254-23, going 5-0,
Yeah.
coming off a 65-0 shutout of Greenland. Does Charleston stand a chance tonight?
Well, here's another stat for you. In the last 3 games that they've met, Charleston's won 130-14. So Mansfield, while they have been very dominant this year, this has been a bugaboo game for them over the past couple of years. They've been good, but this is where you take the next step in defeating the defending state champions at their place. The problem is that Charleston is playing at home. They're really good there. They've won the last 2 games. They started off 0-3. This is going to be an old-fashioned, as they used to say, slobber knocker. A lot of running, a lot of hitting. Reese Maresca, very good athlete for Charleston, plays both ways, receiver, DB, one of the holdovers from last year's championship club. And I know, Mansfield's excited to be 5-0. This would be one of the bigger wins in their recent memory to win this tonight. It's hard to bet against Charleston at home, though. And after those first 3, non-conference games, getting the ship righted a little bit, you probably have to go with Charleston despite the record. But Mansfield, those stats you just read, and 499 yards rushing and a 65-0 win over Greenland last week, that is total domination and definitely has the attention of the Charleston defense. This is going to be a real physical, grinded-out game, and probably will get over in 2 hours with the way these guys run the ball. But should be I think that's probably one of the other games of the week in River Valley right there. If you're around that area, you should go check out that game.
Nate, how is Lucas doing down in Little Rock right now?
Oh, they're doing pretty well, Matt. They lost very soundly to Little Rock Christian, but then came back and won the next week against Mountain Home. I think they're still hopeful that they can play for a state championship. They've got Greenwood coming in a couple weeks at the end of the month, and that'll be a highly anticipated game. We'll talk all about that. The big thing for them is they're trying to get healthy. Jackson Cobb is an above-average quarterback. He was Cal Busby is an Arkansas baseball commit. He was the quarterback. He quit in favor of baseball, but Cobb's not bad. But his left hand is in a bandage or a cast because his thumb is broken. So that's hampered him a little bit. And John Mark Charette's a really good tight end receiver, H-back type of guy who has been nursing an ankle sprain for the whole season. So if they can get him back and get Cobb healthy, I think sky's the limit for him. And PA is just such a good coaching staff, not only Anthony, but the rest of that staff. They're hanging right in there. They're trying right now to, if something would happen with Greenwood, where they could maybe move in, or Little Rock Christian would lose, they're going to be right there, probably 2 or 3. Definitely would be a dangerous playoff draw anywhere you get them. I anticipate that they're really gonna turn it on here the next couple of weeks, and this Greenwood game will be really huge when they come to Central Arkansas in a couple of weeks.
Nate, Ozark Bob has texted in. He calls you an innings eater because you have more information than anybody does on anything involving high school athletics. Brandon from Paris wants to know, how do you keep up with this many teams? Nate, you know more about these kids than I know about my own children. How do you keep up with this?
Well, I just, it's my job. So I'm fortunate enough this is what I do for a living. Other people crunch numbers and teach school. I follow high school sports. And I tell you, I thank the good Lord every day that I have that opportunity. I take it seriously. Kyle Sutherland is right by my side, along with a couple other guys that we cover this, and it's a labor of love for us. And that's the thing. I study it. We watch tape. Kyle watches more than I do. He watches like a coach, but he fills me in, and I watch some and listen to as much stuff as I can. So it's really just something that we take really seriously and have a passion for. We're just so glad to bring it to the readers. We get a lot of good feedback, and that makes us feel good that we're doing the right thing.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.